All right, everyone. Remember when the Manafort verdict came in? It's like guilty on half the counts or something. He could face like decades in prison. I don't even know if they've actually sentenced him yet. I think they're trying to go for round two and get him on the other charges or some stupid shit. And the government's wasting everyone's time. You remember how you heard about it for like a week nonstop and it was Manafort this, Manafort that. Oh, Trump is finished this time, even though this has nothing to do with the Trump era. Why didn't you hear so much about Papadopoulos? Oh, that's right. Guess what he got sentenced to on the one charge that stuck? He lied to the FBI. Guess what he got as a charge? 14 days in jail and a year of probation. So basically like less than Justin Bieber gets the next time he decides to do drugs. I think you can say that the Mueller probe had a difficult day when the Papadopoulos stuff came through. By the way, Papadopoulos, the bane of all editors because of his name. Yeah. I wonder how many people have gotten yelled at by their bosses within the so-called journalism industry over their write-up being spelled improperly. And they're like, I'm trying my best here, but it took me 10 minutes. The Mueller probe is bullshit at this point. It has nothing to do anymore with Russian collusion. They've left that behind. They even, which case is it there? I can't remember which person is involved where they're like, hey, you can't even bring up Russian collusion because that has nothing to do with anything at this point. The Mueller probe at this point is seeking to justify its own onerous size and scope that was put in by Rosenstein, who, by the way, is on the skids right now anyway, and it's like might get relieved of his duties practically. The Mueller probe was prefaced on improperly conducted surveillance and on a dossier that itself was mostly fake, came from British intel through back channels that are illegal for it to have come through, was foisted off on the FBI, where unfortunately several politically partisan agents made sure that it made its way through to FISA, which rubber stamps things without reading it, and Rosenstein, who apparently, according to him indeed, rubber stamped it without even reading it, which is basically his way of saying, yeah, I read it, I realized it was wrong to sign off on it and that we would have to dig for reasons for our own warrant, which is illegal, but yeah, I signed it anyway because I'm politically motivated. That's what it boils down to. That's the Mueller probe. Initially, they sold the probe to the people of this country on the premise that Russia was involved with hacking our election. Since then, it's gone from Russia hacked the election to Russia might have talked to Trump to no, those two claims are totally bullshit. Russia influenced our election with Facebook ads. That's basically what you're looking at. Papadopoulos topically lies to the FBI, gets a slap on the wrist punishment. He's free in 2 fucking weeks. Actually, I think by now, I think 11 days now. So Papadopoulos will be out. His lawyers gave the excuse, well, he was being questioned by the FBI, and he looks up while he's being questioned, and he has to see his former employer, Donald Trump, gazing down at him while he's talking to the FBI about the whole thing. Of course he lied a little bit, but have mercy, he's just a kid, inexperienced, doesn't know what he's doing. I guess that the judge thought that was a legitimate defense. Yeah, 14 days, you're free. But did anything happen to Trump because of this? By the way, Esteval, hey, my dude, Trump's approval back at 42, roughly, which is where it was before. Where's the free fall? It's because you paid attention to outlier polls from Gallup and what was the other, Emerson or one of these other stupid firms. Now, always pay attention to YouGov. Average YouGov, Reuters, and Rasmussen, and you're probably getting the real number. That number's around 43, 44 right now. The Mueller probe is deflated a little bit. That's why you haven't, since the Papadopoulos stuff a few days ago, you haven't heard much about it, have you? For so long, the Mueller probe was all front page news all the time. Every single day. Mueller this, Mueller that. Mueller will take Trump down. Mueller looking into Russians. Mueller has carte blanche. The Life and Times of Robert Mueller, a 10-part, 10-hour documentary. Everything was Robert Mueller and his wonderful probe. But since the wheels fell off with regards to Manafort because they couldn't find any collusion, and since Cohen's lawyer basically trolled CNN and got everyone all uppity, and then basically dashed their hopes on jagged rocks, since that time, they haven't talked about the Mueller probe as much. Could it be because they realized that there's not going to be any real outcome for the liberals on this probe? They got Manafort. Good, he goes to jail. Dude, he was a Reagan strategist and campaign advisor who's been doing work in politics for more than 3 decades. He's worked for a number of administrations. He's worked for both political parties. The charges applicable in the Mueller probe that he's getting slamma-jammed on are 10-year-old charges that have nothing to do with the Trump campaign and nothing to do directly, at least, with Russia anyway. They have to do with Ukrainian groups. Ukrainians. As for Flynn, what are they doing with Flynn? He's sitting there for over a year. They're like, well, we might indict you on these charges. Where's the trial? He's supposed to be afforded a speedy, public, fair trial. There hasn't even been a trial yet. At what point do they drop the charges simply because it's been so long that the judge might throw the case out and say, why didn't you bring this case a year ago? You had all your evidence. What the fuck were you waiting for? And then Papadopoulos gets off basically scot-free. Where's the collusion? Where's Russian involvement? Mueller indicts some Russian nationals for buying Facebook ad space. Okay, it really changed the election that they targeted towards swing states. Oh my goodness, yeah. How many votes did it change? 10, 20 or something? Do you realize how few people click on those Facebook ads? I ran an ad campaign once, just a short ad campaign on 4chan with regards to my book After the Ashes. I ran it on, I believe, Politically Incorrect. The campaign lasted a total of about 6 hours because it got gobbled through. You know how many books I sold because of that? Like 4. There were about 4 additional sales. I did not even close to making back my money. The only reason to even hold an ad campaign is to generate a little bit of extra interest by slapping it all across the internet like a big dirty cock so that people can't help but notice the fact that your ads are everywhere, thus generating sort of a sense that the brand is more powerful. They didn't do that. They spent about $100,000 on these ads. Do you realize how limited a scope $100,000 is within the advertising world? You're talking for a small-time thing that you're targeting towards just one page on one website, you're going to need several hundred. Several thousand to target. Like if you wanted to run a general ad campaign on 4chan, be prepared to fork over 5 figures easy. And Facebook is way ahead of 4chan on the Alexa rankings. How much do these ad campaigns cost? How many people were actually reached by that? How many people actually saw it, clicked it, and paid attention to what they clicked? And didn't do it accidentally, which, trust me, without ad blocking software is all too common. And then you wonder why you get a phishing link or some virus. Yeah, oh no, there's 20 pop-ups on the page, help! And you get fucked, basically. The Mueller probe is worthless. The Mueller probe is costing us millions of dollars, and so far they haven't delivered even a fraction of what they promised. Russian collusion involving high-level Trump campaign officials that affected the outcome of the election in some demonstrable, substantive way. We have none of that. Instead, we have some Russian nationals, some Trump officials totally separate, neither of which apparently overlap at all, nothing of which influenced the election. A lot of the charges don't even have anything to do with the election. Wonderful. And we spent, how much money have we spent so far on this? At some point, they've got to drop the probe. It's just a matter of time. They're obviously going to wait until after the midterms. They want that pall hanging over Trump because the probe is political in nature. It's just that they didn't dig up any dirt. Dude, if you get investigated by dozens of FBI agents for 2 fucking years, and they don't find anything on you, no tax evasion, no fudging on any forms, no talking to the wrong people, no criminal activity, as is the case with Trump, you're an awfully clean individual. Either that or you have such a great infrastructure, you can do anything and get away with it, like the Clintons. That's about all. Peace out.